What is going on, guys? Today we got a special video today. We're going to be looking at the UFC's biggest aura farmers because the UFC, it's kind of full of aura farmers nowadays. You know, maybe you can go back to the older generation and think Anderson Silva is the OG aura farmer. Maybe he started it. But when I think of aura farming, I think of one man who's in a different era of Anderson Silva, more of the modern generation, and that is this man. The man you saw on the thumbnail, Conor McGregor. Now, Conor McGregor, like you saw on the thumbnail, has had infinite aura moments. This man had infinite aura in his prime, in his peak. But some of the fighters on this filter are going to have infinite aura, right? And some of them maybe try to get that. Maybe they're aura farming or clip farming and don't necessarily get that same reaction as a guy like McGregor. But this is where it all stems from. All the fighters on this list, not all of them, but a lot of them are, kind of trying to be McGregor. But you cannot change my mind. Conor McGregor is the biggest aura farmer, was the biggest aura farmer back in his day. Because look at the top image, bro. Nobody in today's UFC is doing this, walking up to the cage, spreading their arms out, and getting away with it without getting trolled on social media. But Conor McGregor is the only man in the UFC, probably in UFC history, that could actually do this and get away with it. Man, Conor McGregor in his prime was so special, bro. He was on a generational run for real. But even look at the bottom image. Conor McGregor, his famous billionaire strut, whatever it's called. This man was literally clip farming or farming. You can look. Everything Conor McGregor does, which I've noticed, is all for the clip. It's all for the flick. He wants a fire picture to put on his wallpaper, to put as the background of his iPhone. Because Conor McGregor doing this strut with the fog coming up, man, that's infinite aura. Like I said earlier, if anybody in the UFC does this today, they're getting clowned. But yes, Conor McGregor, this one's self-explanatory. He was the OG aura farmer, in my opinion, at least for the modern generation. But he can get away with it because this man's aura levels, man, they were off the charts. But this one's obvious. Let's keep it going with McGregor's good buddy, and that is Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz, you can look solely at this picture and tell Nate Diaz is an aura farmer. Because if you know the context of this fight, Leon Edwards was winning the fight. I believe he was up 4-0. This occurred in round 5. I could be wrong, maybe 3-1, but at 3-1 at the least. But Nate Diaz sacrificed the whole fight to get this clip right here, to get this picture, because this picture is framed on his wall somewhere in the Diaz household. But Nate Diaz was down 4 rounds, I believe, and then finally hits a 1-2 on Leon Rocky Edwards, spins his jaw, and has him rocked. You can tell in the picture he's hurt right here. And what does Nate Diaz do? Does he follow up? Does he try to finish the fight? No. He laughs. He points at Leon Edwards. And he's side-eyeing out of the corner of his eye, looking for the camera, looking for the flash, seeing if he's got the clip. And then once he sees the flash go off, sees that somebody's got him the wallpaper uploaded to his phone right now, then he starts to try to pour it on. But at that point, Leon's already recovered. So Nate Diaz is one of the only guys that I know, maybe outside of one other person who you will see later in this video, that would give up a win, give up a finish, all for the clip. Now, Nate Diaz can get away with this. Nate Diaz is one of the only people that could get away with this because we know how Nate Diaz is. He's not there. He's there for the money, sort of. He's there for the entertainment. He's not necessarily beating the best of the best, although he does have really good wins on his resume. He's there for the aura farms, bro. He's there to clip farm. Now, Nate Diaz is an idiot. He's got multiple moments, though. This is not a one-and-done situation for Nate Diaz. He's had some other moments like, one that comes to mind is him throwing up the triangle and flipping the bird to the sky, aura farming. Or Nate Diaz just talking trash in there, showboating in the octagon, aura farming. Or even Nate Diaz talking to his opponent, giving him that Stockton slap. That's aura farming. Nate Diaz is an exception. I don't think he took his inspiration from McGregor necessarily. He's one of a kind, and this man is an aura farmer. But let's keep it rolling on to the next. This one, again, not necessarily a McGregor inspiration. The next two, I think, are. But Alex Pereira is a different level of aura farmer. Look at the pictures. I love that I have the, it's like show and tell. I got the pictures to show and tell you exactly what I mean if you don't understand. Because Alex Pereira, look at the first image. The stare down with Yuri Prohaska was generational. But Alex Pereira, there's no need for all that, bro. There's no need for all that. This man, stone cold killer, doesn't move a muscle, doesn't even blink in the stare downs. This man is, all the energy around him is just circulating into his bloodstream. This man is aura farming, aura maxing. You name it, Alex Pereira is doing it. I really want to know what goes on in this man's head when he's, he's trying to go for the clip. He's standing there completely still. He's sweating a little bit. What is going on inside bro's head? I know he's trying to intimidate his opponent. It looks like it works very well. Definitely against Jamal Hill. But what is going on in his head? Is he like, all right, how long I got to hold this for? Or is he dead serious? I don't know. I feel like he's more dead serious. This man was aura maxing all over Jamal Hill, bro. He was mogging him in the octagon, at the press conference, at the weigh-ins, you name it. Alex Pereira was mogging this man. I know I'm using these brain rot terms, bro, but it's real. This was an infinite aura moment at UFC 300 to cap off the night in the main event. Alex Pereira got kicked in the nuts. Does he take his 5-minute break? No. He waves off Herb Dean, closes the distance, land his patented left hook, shuts the lights out of Jamal Hill, has a couple follow-up shots as well, stands up and does this. Alex Pereira just made quick work of Jamal Hill, who was favored to beat Pereira in that fight, I believe. But Alex Pereira just makes quick work of him and is like, bro, is that all you got? But Alex Pereira shut the lights out and just completely aura farmed all over this dude, bro. Alex Pereira continues to do it. He puts on this stone cold face, which I think is legit. I don't think it's necessarily a front. But come on, bro. You're aura farming. But let's go ahead and get into the McGregor wannabes on the next one. Ilia Topuria, look, I was under the impression that this man was a fraud. He was a McGregor wannabe because he was copying the exact same things that McGregor was doing back in the day. He, like you can see on the bottom clip, he took the belt of Volkanovski exactly, straight word for word, bar for bar, what McGregor did to Aldo. Ilia Topuria did it. Ilia Topuria also has the exact same back tattoo as McGregor has as well. So at this point, you could tell Ilia was aura farming, and it wasn't working at the time, okay? We were not necessarily familiar with bro's game yet until he knocked out Volkanovski. And then in the Max Holloway fight, as you can see on the top picture, this man said, you know what? Ilia Tapora is like McGregor in the way that he tells you exactly what he's going to do, and it actually happens. But to start off the Max Holloway fight, Ilia Tapora said that he was going to go into the center of the octagon, point down to the ground, and he just wants to throw like Max Holloway did at UFC 300. And that's exactly what Ilia did. He walked to the center as soon as the bell rang, pointed down to the mat, and that was an infinite aura moment, bro. Ilia Tapora was aura farming right here, and Max Holloway did not want any part of it. Now, I would have loved this. I don't know if the fight would have just ended right away. Would Ilia Topuria have knocked out Max in the first 10 seconds if they just traded like that? Maybe so. But Ilia Topuria offered. He said, look, I'm the real BMF. If you want to prove you're the BMF, let's do this. And Max Holloway declined. I'm not hating Max Holloway for doing that. Not at all. Definitely the smart move for him. But I'm just saying, Ilia Topuria was straight aura farming that night. Ilia Topuria's work has definitely shown and backed it up inside the octagon. Is he on the same level of aura as McGregor? No. But the skill level, might even be better. But with that being said, either way, it doesn't matter. Ilia Topuria is a D1 aura farmer. But let's go ahead and move on to the last one. This one's funny, bro. This one's funny because John Silva, Long John Silva, if you know, you know, is a great fighter, don't get me wrong, but he is not on the same level of aura as an Ilia Topuria, as a McGregor, as a Nate Diaz, not even close. But I will say, Long John Silva is trying his absolute best to be the next guy. He wants to be a big star. Unfortunately, he just looks like an idiot, kind of. John Silva has the tism, obviously. It's a known fact at this point. Maybe some CTE as well. Maybe even some rabies. But John Silva, look at this man. Climbing on top of the cage, barking at his opponent. Now, I'm not going to lie. As an intimidation factor, it probably works pretty well. I wouldn't know what to do if my opponent was barking at me like that. I would be a little scared to encounter them, to touch them. I'd be scared I would get bit. But John Silva, that's what he does. It's worked for him so far. And this man continues to aura farm. If you watch any John Silva fight, there's at least one moment where he was aura farming. And that is a fact, bro. Whether it's inside the fight, whether it's before the fight at a press conference, this man's going to find a way to get his little 5-second clip of fame. He's a clip farmer, man. He's also a Twitch streamer, I just found out. So maybe that's where it stems from. I don't know. But either way, John Silva, absolute aura farmer. Does it always work? Maybe not so much, but he's still going to try to get his clip. And you can look at the bottom picture that we chose. John Silva versus, I forgot who he was fighting. But he knocked him out in the first round, dropped him with the right hand, and then just pointed at him like, ref, do something. But John Silva dropped him. The ref did not stop the fight, so John Silva proceeded with aggression, with elbows to the ribs until the ref finally stopped the fight. But John Silva is such a passive-aggressive person. I don't know if that's even the right term. But he acts like a nice guy, and he seems like a nice guy, but he also has this dark side to him, if you want to say that, where he is barking at you. He literally wants to put hands on folks. He wants to spin your jaw. He wants to break your jaw. He wants to kill you. So I can't tell with John Silva, which I know for a fact he's an aura farmer, but is he a nice guy or is he a violent, vicious man with rabies? I don't know. Y'all gonna have to tell me, but that's gonna be it for me, guys. These are the UFC's biggest aura farmers right now. Again, there's definitely probably some older ones in different generations. I wanted to stick more modern UFC fighters. But let me know in the comments maybe who I missed. Let me know who you think is the biggest aura farmer in the UFC today. But be sure to hit the like button if you enjoyed today's video. Comment something for the algorithm, bro. And then be sure to turn the post notifications on, man. You don't want to miss a UFC live trivia on stream. You don't want to miss UFC 5 gameplay. You don't want to miss none of that. But we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. I appreciate y'all once again, and we out.